Hey, it's Jason Ubera, and I got Tom Kirkham here with us, CEO of Kirkham IronTech. Tom, how do our clients best utilize us and get a return on investment?
There are a lot of ways to maximize the IT investment. And that's what I want to talk about here. This isn't a security video. Security has a different purpose, a different objective. That is securing the company. And often that means a hit on productivity. It's just part of it. It has to be done. You should never prioritize productivity over security. You can weigh it. You can is it really worth this much hassle for minimal likelihood of protecting us from this particular scenario? That's okay, but you need to do that on a risk analysis basis. When it comes to IT, everyone invests in IT for return on investment. Make more money, more productivity, more efficiency. Properly done IT investment will affect the bottom line positively each and every single day. So, one of the things that we do that unfortunately a lot of, especially small businesses, they have a tendency to try to get every last minute they can out of a desktop or every last minute they can out of a server. And that's counterproductive and for a number of reasons. So let's look at it from a user perspective. The other day before a education webinar with an accounting firm, an accountant, an actual accountant, part of the society of whatever I was speaking in front of, uh, somehow or another, I don't know if I made a comment about I got a new laptop, so I'm still learning some stuff or whatever it was. And he goes, yeah, I just bought a new laptop. My other one was like 7 or 8 years old, and I just can't believe how much faster it is. He didn't, at least he didn't wait until it crashed, which is way counterproductive. And I'm assuming he probably bought a laptop in the $1,000 range. Hopefully he didn't get a $399 one or a $499 one. But my comment was, is well, how much money did you really save getting another 3 years out of that laptop? And 3 to 4 years is what you should expect from a Windows laptop. Now, if you're still running Macs, you will be utterly shocked. If you're running older Macs, Intel based Macs, you'll be utterly shocked how much faster Macs are since they went to Apple Silicon. I mean, it's like orders of magnitude more more productive, more efficient, smoother operating, and everything like that. So if you've got a 6, 7 year old Mac, and I know Mac users have a tendency to milk them for as long as they have, but the same principle applies. You want to take advantage of that. So if you get another 3 years out of a 7 year old laptop, and let's say the original laptop cost, I don't know, 11 or $1,200. That extra 3 years, you're only getting another $300 or $400 worth of work out of it, you know? And over the period of time, you're only talking about $100 a year. So why, if you're billing out $100 an hour, $200 an hour, law firms, $1,000 an hour, $1,500 an hour, if you're billing out that kind of money, that kind of time and materials billing, or if you're just, even if you're a personal injury, it doesn't matter. It affects you. You can put the number to this. Why are you taking the hit on productivity for $100 a year? Computers are cheap, fast. Modern computers are very fast nowadays. And it comes with the added benefit of, especially in the case of Windows computers, you've got probably an upgraded operating system that is now supported and it's being patched. So it's taking care of security stuff. You're on the most modern platform. There's so many other reasons that go into this. The bottom line is, though, it's about personal productivity for each and every person in your company. When we were a Mac shop before Apple produced their own silicon, their own CPUs, And once the minute we discovered how much faster the M series chips are compared to the old Intel based Macs, we replaced all of them in our company as fast as we possibly could because we knew that that was a good investment in our people. It's more productive for the company, more efficient, and we're on the latest greatest. And the good thing about Mac products is they have a great resale value on top of that. So all we did was trade them in, and we basically made money off the deal practically from day one by doing that, and we continue that practice. We start looking around for new Macs. Rarely do we go over 3 years, but especially at that 2 year mark, let's look at the resale value. If it's only going to cost us $400 or $500 to go ahead and get a new one, or 300 or 200, because even the low end ones are extremely fast, we'll just go ahead and do it because the cost of still operating that other one is just too expensive. When it comes to servers, especially if your server has mechanical hard drives in it, that it needs to be replaced. SSDs are by far more performance. The data gets in and out of the drive. Mechanical hard drives are usually the bottleneck. It's not the network cable. Even if you've got a 100 megabit network cable instead of a gigabit or faster, the mechanical hard drive is what's going to slow the server down. That's where you're going to see the first hit. So then if you've got SSDs, then you can start looking at, okay, well, let's redo our network and put in gigabit at least. Gigabit switches are dime a dozen now. If you're putting a new network in, even I don't even know if you can still find 100 megabit. But if you are running a 100 megabit network, you need to upgrade that as well. So these are just some of the things that we look for. We're real big on multiple monitors or larger monitors. How many monitors do you have? You've got one big one and you still use your laptop, right? The
Yep.
screen on your laptop. And some of us have 3 monitors, you know, and it's probably somebody's got 4 for all I know. But those are investments that we know what the research says that just if you've got a 24-inch monitor, just by adding another 24-inch monitor, that increases productivity 25%. Do the math. How much does that person cost an hour? $20 an hour, $50 an hour, $500 an hour. Do the math. A $150, $200 monitor is nothing. And the third monitor, I think, is around a 10% productivity boost, but bare minimum, either a single large one or 2 smaller ones.
Yeah, I'd go crazy without having multiple monitors. I got so much I got going on. I got to keep it organized.
Yeah, yeah. So I've got a 49-inch monitor. It's a 5K, I think. It's really nice. Um, if I had to do it all over again, I'd probably have 234s and get a fancy, monitor mount and maybe
Mhm.
stack them because I have to do that. This is edge to edge when I'm moving my head. There's the right edge, there's the left edge. So
Okay.
there's a lot of movement in there that slows me down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I have the luxury of having 10 different applications open and I can see them real quick. I'm not running
Yeah.
full screen. Some people that use multi monitors, they'll put their email in full screen or their chat app in full screen. It just depends on what your needs are and what your tasks are and what your role in the company is. But a good quality monitor is important. Um, just little things like blue blocking glasses, like I have on right now. That reduces eye strain, increases productivity. You spend all day in front of a monitor, even if you don't need reading glasses. If you spend all day in front of a monitor, you will have less fatigue if you can block some of that blue light. Now, there's some research that's come out recently that is beginning to question some of that, especially putting a screen in front of your face at night. Does it really impact your sleep that much? And I haven't looked into that as deep as I could, but I do know that reducing eye strain, however you can do it, will increase productivity in the company as well. Uh, Another thing that we do when If companies are using software applications that aren't modern databases or whatever they run off of, they're not a modern platform. It's kind of like, and a good example of that is QuickBooks on premises versus QuickBooks Online, especially if it's networked and you've got multiple users in QuickBooks. Everyone knows this that uses QuickBooks on premises, that the data server has to be put into single user mode from time to time, and then other times it just flakes out and it'll get locked into multi-user or locked into single user. And because we see it with our clients, and we used to use it for years, and it's hiccups, and you have to reboot the server or you got to restart the database software, and it's a hassle, and it can happen at any time, and everybody that uses QuickBooks is down. I would say that feature for feature, QuickBooks Online is comparable to on-prem. Yes, it works differently. Yes, you will have to learn it. But once you learn it, you get over that curve, you take that little bit of hit in productivity, all of the database problems go away. And it just runs, and it continues to run, and you got you can log into it anywhere you want, so remote or not. And there's so many other advantages to using QuickBooks Online for those of you that haven't taken the plunge yet. And I think they've got the pricing to where it doesn't make any sense to do on premises anyway. They've been trying to do that for years. Those are things that we look for, bad or old software architecture, anything that's running on a DBase or a Fox Pro database. Those are applications that's probably slowing down productivity in your office. It's not our job to go out and select an application, a vertical market application to run your company, because only you know what kind of software is going to run your company effectively. The way our clients leverage us is to do things like, what is the software architecture? Is it a modern software architecture? Is our network capable of running it if it's on premises software? Or what is the cloud going to look like? What are we going to configure out there in the cloud, and what kind of impact does that have on productivity and efficiency? So it's our job to make sure that whatever software application they pick, that we've advised them on the state of the software architecture, and that anything they're going to use that application is performing at its highest potential, best security, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud. I'm not here to debate the technology pros and cons. They have their own pros and cons, and it's unique for just about everybody. While I'm on talking about that, for some reason, accounting firms, I don't know if there's someone in the industry that's really touting virtualization, but it's been our experience that virtualization just does not work for accounting firms. I'm talking virtualizing desktops and everything. And believe me when I say this, I was one of the very first people to get into that industry. Years ago, it was called application service provider. Now, there is a slight difference in application service provider and virtualization, complete virtualization. An application service provider can just encapsulate only the application that you want to put in the cloud and send that virtually to the desktop, so nothing's installed locally. But when you start pushing the whole virtual desktop to the cloud, especially for accounting firms, it's really more of a special use case. It's not. It's usually more expensive. It's going to cost you more money in the long run. There's just pros and cons to it, and it's something that we look at all the time. And we've got some clients that have stuff virtualized and others that don't. But if you're having to go out and buy $1,000 computer just to access it, then there's no cost savings there. You get some benefit on theoretically on uptime if you can get to it, if your internet connection's not down, and it's got to be plenty fast as well. You arguably get some benefits. There's pros and cons. You get some benefits from security You can always throw more horsepower, just a few mouse clicks. You got more CPUs, more RAM, more storage, much easier than if it's on premises. But and while I'm talking about virtualization, if any of your service providers tells you that you don't have to worry about security in a fully virtualized environment because it's in the cloud, uh, at best, that's an ignorant statement. At worst, they're flat out lying. The cloud itself, that raw Amazon Web Services or AWS or whatever you're looking at, is very, very, very secure, redundant, and it's easy to do backups and all these other things. But the minute you start adding software to it, the applications you use, Windows Server, guess what? It has many of the same vulnerabilities, defects in the software that make it less secure. So while AWS all by itself, before it's used for anything, kind of like a computer that's never turned on, it's incredibly secure. But the minute you actually put it into production and start using it for something, it has very many of the same security issues that you have to continually deal with. Those are just some of the things that we do for return on investment, but we are always, and every environment's a little different, but we are always looking for that. You know, well, you need a new computer here, and our clients that understand that know that we said, okay, you need a budget for this year, 5 of them, 50 of them, whatever the numbers are. You need to budget and spend those and replace it. Don't wait until it goes down, and lose data and all these other things. It's proactive productivity management. It really is. And smart people do it that way. So if you've never done this and you got a bunch of old equipment, you need to see how old and how many, and try to get to where you're replacing traditional desktops every 5 years. So you may do 20% one year, 20% the next, and that way, and then get them all on a cycle. So you're not a big capital outlay all at once. And that'll take some of the sting out of the budget.
Yeah, the whole time you were talking, I couldn't help but think about how I'll get a text message from my eye doctor saying, "Hey, it's time to schedule the next appointment," right? And then I keep putting it off and putting it off. I'm like, I'll get to it," and then finally, I'll go to the appointment. Uh, find out, I have a different prescription now. And then when I go put in my new contacts or my new glasses, I'm like, why was I missing this whole time? Like everything is so much more clear now. Why was I putting myself through this? And I feel like that exactly relates to almost everything you said.
Yeah, well, it's the same. I do the same thing when I'm at the dentist getting my teeth clean and everything's cool. I go out to pay and they go, "Do you want to schedule your next one?" And I'm go, "Yeah, I'm here. I don't want to have to pick up the phone and remember to call you. Let's do it. I got my phone in front of me. Let's put it on the calendar for 6 months from now, and I'll see you then." And I don't have to worry about it. And it's just, yeah, it's all those little things that you do on a daily basis. And I'm a big procrastinator, so that's like a step in the right direction. It's one of those things, like, especially if you run the company, you're responsible for everybody there, and you may notice, like, Mark Zuckerberg dresses the same, a nerd, you know, nothing special. Steve Jobs always wore the same sweater and blue jeans, same exact sweater, by the way. He bought 100 of them at a time. And others do that, and the reason is that it's just one less decision you have to make. When you get up every day, it's just put the uniform on and go to work, right? And so it's really about making your whole life more efficient too. And a computer is, I hate tinkering with computers. I was a hobbyist for years back in the day when they were much easier to work on and everything. So I know how they all work on the inside. I know what different cards are and all of this. But at the end of the day, it's just a tool, right? We've talked about this in other videos. It's why car mechanics buy really expensive, good quality tools. Now those will probably last them their lifetime. But because they're so good and they're warranted for life, even if they abuse it, they're going to get a new one. So you don't see a car mechanic using, very cheap tools. They know they get what they pay for. They can perform repairs much quicker, and it's just more profitable that way to go ahead and buy the right tools and the quality to begin with.